The Midday News is live on Joy 99.7 and hits 103.9 FM here in Accra, on Love 99.5 in Kumasi and myjoyonline.com. We're also live in all 16 regions of Ghana via various affiliates, live on X Spaces and Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petrosol, Platinum Energy, energizing dreams. Coming up this afternoon, President Mahama vows to keep the Bank of Ghana independent as he says he will not instruct the central bank to print more money. Well, we have details of that as he criticizes the banking sector cleanup for neglecting human impact and having a narrow focus. Also coming up, Deputy Minister Designate for Education backs down on social media post as he clashes with the ranking on the committee, Afenyo Markin, on a multilingual test. We'll also bring you the Deputy Minister Designate for Interior cautioning against speculations about the fate of IGP Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare as he calls on critics to allow President Mahama take a decision on the matter. We have details as he assures of a review of multiple police checkpoints in the capital to address traffic challenges during rush hours. Also coming up, Joy News gets results. Will tell you about the transformation of the grueling 14-kilometer treks to two-wheel freedom for Nanumba North students. These and more with me, Maame Esi Thompson. This is Joy News, independent, fearless and credible. Now, President John Mahama has assured that he is committed to ensuring the Bank of Ghana operates independently, free from political interference. He emphasized that he will not instruct the central bank to print more money. Speaking at the swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed governor of the Bank of Ghana, along with First Deputy Governor Dr. Johnson Pandit Isiama and Zakaria Mumini, Mr. Mahama criticized the Akufo-Addo administration's approach to the banking sector cleanup. He argued that the reforms were too narrowly focused and failed to consider their human impact. Well, we'll bring you that sound later, but our presidential correspondent Maxwell Agbagba is with us on this to tell us more. Maxwell, Dr. Isiama has outlined 6 key priority areas. What can you tell us about them?
Well, Maame Esi, he says the Bank of Ghana, under his leadership, will adopt 6 guiding principles and priority areas. He says he will adopt a more proactive and precise approach to managing inflation and also coordinate policy efforts with other government agencies, for example, to manage food prices. He says there's a need to preserve exchange rate stability and limit excessive volatility in the rates. He says he will introduce a digital strategy to adapt to the digital age, improve the Bank of Ghana's operations, and better serve the needs of stakeholders.
Okay, Maxwell, what more has the Bank of Ghana governor been saying to us? Well, let's get back to what the president has been saying. He argues that the reforms were too narrowly focused and failed to consider their human impact.
People's dreams, either nurtured or shattered, demanding not just your highly extolled analytical expertise, but empathy and foresight that acknowledge the profound human consequences of every decision you take. Our recent banking history has shown us the cost of neglecting this truth. During the supposed banking sector cleanup exercise, thousands of jobs were lost and lives were disrupted because decisions were made with a narrow focus rather than the consideration of the human impact of those decisions. The Bank of Ghana had the opportunity to salvage some of these institutions to protect people's livelihoods while ensuring stability. But instead, an approach that ignored human consequences was what was made. The test of your patriotism in this solemn duty of economic governance lies in learning from these missteps, recognizing that policies must not only enforce regulations, but also safeguard the future of persons that depend on them. The lessons of the past remind us of the dangers of fiscal recklessness and the lasting harm it can inflict on an economy. When government resorts to unsustainable consumption, expenditure, financed by excessive and unregulated printing of money, the consequences can be severe, from spiraling inflation, erosion of incomes, to driving millions into poverty. Such actions not only weaken public confidence in financial institutions, but also threaten long-term stability. To safeguard our economy from these risks, we must uphold responsible fiscal management, strict adherence to legal and regulatory framework, and protect the independence of the Bank of Ghana. As President, I'm committed to ensuring that the central bank operates free from political interference, guided solely by its mandate. This is the path to building a resilient economy, one where policies are driven by discipline, foresight, and the best interests of the Ghanaian people. One thing for sure, I'm not going to come and ask you to print more money. I encourage you to work closely with key institutions, including the Ministry of Finance, Parliament, and the financial industry, while maintaining the independence your mandate requires. On behalf of the people of Ghana, I wish to...
And you had the President John Dramani Mahama. Away from the presidency, let's head to Parliament, where Deputy Minister Designate for Education, Dr. Clement Apak, was forced to swallow the humble pie over a controversial social media post before entering into a language frenzy with the ranking on the committee, Alexander Henyumakin, in the early stages of questioning. Now, what began as a grilling session soon turned into a linguistic test as the nominee was pressed to defend government policies in multiple languages. We'll hear from Dr. Clement Apak's language prowess soon, but first, this is how he apologized for a remark on social media.
That the so-called fight against illegal mining by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government is a hoax. A vote for DMB/MPP is a vote to upgrade the Galamsey menace. Let's rescue and reset Ghana for our collective good. The alternative is the only option. Vote JDM/NDC. Grateful, Mr. Chairman.
My respected colleague, the first paragraph of your statement, do you stand by this, or you believe that with the benefit of hindsight, you could have used a more measured language as a politician? I understand you made this on the 4th of September in the heat of campaign, but would you say that you could have been more measured in the language you use on first paragraph?
Honorable Chair, with hindsight, I must admit that the language was rather harsh. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. This comes without doubt, you being of the academia stock, and you've earned my respect.
Well, following that, the minority leader and ranking on the committee, Alexander Henyumakin, asked the nominee to express various government policies in the previous administration and the current one in the languages he understood. The polyglot, Dr. Clement Apak, wasted no time.
So first, share with us your experience as a member of parliament in the Bani to inspire the youth. When you're done, we go to Kasim, and perhaps we may do Hausa.
Maybe Umboya, Nilinga Clement Abasa Pak, Kanjado Nyama, Manenya MP, Yo Minionum. Says Osha free SHS Abeya. Yenina Yasum Yajetum, say Adepa. Naso Yɛsan so nim sɛ nneɛma baako mmienu bi atɔkyema wo ho. Na agore na agese kuduka. Kene kunzina akwe waranso tichochi nde mungia sufuta kadang se moduduba kende ai ankaos kama ansuzo sugwada yaramu daga school. Mr. Chairman, I want to add Wali as well. Mbamnene mamne ansma the ba John the man mama wangane wonu NDC government ne kata even ka pelana teora ka free senior school ma free senior school kan yele ko kon san free senior school ko na malon ko viala kata nyotona atwa malgana ja mpoye ja barka. Grateful, Chairman.
So you heard there Dr. Clement Apak expressing himself in various languages. Let's head to Parliament now and speak to James Aveji. James, I want to know from you, did you understand any of those languages?
Mami, I would only pretend to understand a bit of the Chi. He spoke 4 different local languages. I'm quite closer to the Chi than any of the others.
And following that intense scrutiny over his multilingual policy explanations, has he addressed any critical educational issues?
Well, the issue about the status of the parent.
Unfortunately, we just lost James there, who is giving us updates of the vetting ongoing at the appointment committee in Parliament. And as we understand now, Dr. Clement Apak is still before the vetting committee. And let's cross over now and hear some of the things he's been expressing.
In terms of food, they will have to wait many weeks, days before they receive wherever it's coming from. Would you suggest to your minister, if given the opportunity, that in order to work well and operationalize the secondary school system, procurement should be decentralized at the schools level or at the district level, just so there will be ease of transaction, delays will be curtailed, and smoothness of academic calendar will move on. Thank you.
Grateful, Honorable Chair. And as far as decentralizing procurement would inure to our collective benefit, I wouldn't have a challenge suggesting to my minister to consider that option for the reasons that the honorable member has enumerated. I'm grateful.
On this note, Chairman, let me wish the nominee the very best in his new role. I know he will do well in the new role. I wish you all the best.
I'm grateful, Honorable Chair.
I will stay on my right, and then I'll come to leadership on my left when I'm done. So I will recognize the Honorable Education Committee, as a subject matter. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, let me use this opportunity to congratulate the nominee on his nomination. The nominee has worked with me for at least 6 years on the Education Committee, and he has been very useful to the committee since he joined us. One strength he has, which I am sure he will carry to the ministry, is consultation. Anytime he wanted to make any statement or do anything as far as education was concerned, he consulted and sought for advice and suggestions. I am sure that strength will help you in the ministry to support the substantive minister. Mr. Chairman, my first question has to do with textbooks. We have been in the fight for the lack of textbooks after the introduction of the new syllabus some few years ago. I know you are not the substantive minister, but should the minister seek your advice on textbooks, will you be in a position to tell him or suggest to him that although we are going digital, there's still the need for textbooks to be supplied, and if that will be carried out so that all schools in the country will have textbooks? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman. Yes, in the affirmative. Textbooks are very important. And it shouldn't be the case that textbooks should entirely be replaced by technology. So yes, I would advise the minister, if he were to seek my opinion, to ensure that we have adequate textbooks so that every child will have access to a textbook. At the same time, also have access to digital technology for teaching and learning. The two are not mutually exclusive. I think it is the right way to go. I'm grateful.
Mr. Chairman, can I continue?
You have another one? Okay. You are actually standing between us and lunch, so please make the
thank you, Chairman.
questions short.
One issue which has been mentioned has to do with WAEC. We have been very passionate about issues concerning WAEC for some time now. And you will realize that we've spoken so much for WAEC, especially before the conduct of the BEC last year and the WASE. WAEC currently has a lot of challenges, and one of them is financing, the delay in the release of funds to WAEC to run its activities. Now, the issue now is the suspended or withheld results and the reasons for which we know. Now, what advice will you give the minister so that these examination malpractices, which have led to the withholding of results, will be minimized so that results can be released in time for students to enter tertiary institutions that the same academic year? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Grateful, Honorable Chair. Indeed, WAEC has faced funding challenges. And so, if my opinion were to be sought by the minister, I would encourage him to do well to ensure that government meets its responsibilities to WAEC timeously. Given the many years of advocacy in partnership with the honorable member on this subject, one of the reasons that we believe contributes to examination malpractices is WAEC's inability to recruit and deploy its own staff to invigilate and supervise examinations. So if WAEC has sufficient resources to recruit and deploy its own staff, I believe it could help reduce examination malpractices. I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I will now yield the floor to subject matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity. Honorable nominee, I wish you congratulations. I have no doubt that you're going to perform. Well, this is my question. Honorable Chair, decline in teacher authority in our schools has led to rise in absenteeism, truancy, and the violence that we always see on our campuses. Honorable nominee, what do you think is the way forward in ensuring that discipline comes to the campuses of these our second cycle schools? Thank you.
Honorable nominee, please go ahead and answer the question.
Grateful. Given that I am before you to be considered as a deputy minister to support a minister, I am incapable of proffering a policy solution. But I believe very strongly that one of the ways to address these challenges the honorable member has listed is the reinstatement of PTAs to their full capacity and not PTAs. I also believe very strongly that a dialogue with teacher unions and educators on their experiences, because they are the front line with regards to some of these issues, can also inform a policy direction on how we can address these challenges so that teaching and learning would go on smoothly on our various campuses as far as secondary education is concerned.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I will now shift to my left and start with Honorable Patrick Boama. Then leadership will continue on the left. No, yeah.
Chairman, thank you. Let me congratulate Honorable Clement Abbas Apak, who deliberately omitted from his CV that he led the very powerful outfit in Commonwealth Hall as a deputy chief vandal to Mr. Egbert Fable, Jr. Congratulations, Chief.
I'm grateful, Mr. Chair.
Life in Commonwealth Hall, I believe, still reflects in your actions, and it's embedded in your DNA that truth will always stand. Anyway, Chief, let's deal with this issue of indiscipline and the use of drugs in schools. It's something that you need to assist your minister in fashioning a way with parents to deal with. We all gloss over it, but we see it from the primary school level through to the JHS, secondary school, universities. It's an issue. They call something weed toffee, tramol, cakes, and what have you, biscuits. It's something that I believe going to assist Honorable Haruna Idrisu and the entire educational sector must look into. So I want you to tell parents and the country what you believe can be done to assist in solving this very dangerous issue that pertains in our tertiary institutions. Thank you.
Grateful, Mr. Chairman. And I acknowledge the terrible omission of a position I occupied in the Great Commonwealth, of which I continue to be proud of. So, for the vandals, I do accept my sincerest apology. I will do the needful within the context of the vandal tradition.
You can't sing here.
Mr. Chairman, the honorable member has raised a very profound issue that has the potential of destroying the investments that we have made as a nation and as parents. Because we are speaking about the future of this nation. And I believe the minister, knowing him from our days in Commonwealth and here in Parliament, is not oblivious to this challenge as well. It is going to take a concerted effort. Parents, educators, and the institutions to address this issue. But we ought to also instill values in our children. It is not just sufficient to nurture them and to support them, but they must have values. And that is why I believe that as a nation, we must make values an important component of our education. I'm grateful.
Chairman, I don't have a follow-up on that, and we'll be watching the space for the interventions you'll be introducing. If there's one thing that we as policymakers or politicians must be ashamed of ourselves, and as a country, is to always read about schools under trees. Just about a week ago, the education minister stated that we still have about 5,000 schools under trees. And, Chief, to read such stories is disheartening, especially after 68 years of independence and the kind of resources that have gone with both NDC, MPP, whatever, PNDC. We don't have any excuse. So if there is one thing that you have to do with Honorable Idrisu within the next 4 years, so at least half the number, Ghanaians will be very happy about that. Do you have an idea of the budget coming to Parliament in 2 weeks and the kind of arrangements being made towards the resolution of this? Thank you.
Most grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have no idea about the budget that is to come to Parliament, but I believe very strongly that I would be briefed in due course. But I must agree with the honorable member with regards to the spectacle of schools and the trees. It does not befit the status and age of our nation. But by and large, it's a product of our inability as a nation to keep pace with the provision of educational infrastructure. So as the population is growing, and of course, we continue producing offsprings, but we are not providing the educational infrastructure to match the growing population. So when communities begin to increase in population and they have children sufficient enough to start a school, they initiate by beginning their own schools. And invariably, most of those schools would be under trees. So it is a national issue, and I believe on this we should be united in finding the resources, even in these challenging times, to address it, because education is a right. I'm grateful.
Thank you. I'm told you just had instituted a fiscal planning unit at the ministry to be tracking some of these things. Let's deal with the issue of capacity building amongst teachers and other educational staff. I think it's an area that you also must look into, because education is evolving and you just cannot keep teachers stuck in their old ways. So how are you going to assist your minister in delivering on this very important area? Chairman, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honorable nominee, please answer the question, if there is one.
I'm grateful. The teacher is perhaps the most important variable when it comes to education. All of us gathered here are who we are because of a teacher. And since we are living in a world that is evolving, and there are new ways of doing things, it is only proper that we give teachers the opportunity and support to be able to upgrade themselves and their skill sets to enable them give their best. So I am ready and prepared to support my minister as he executes the mandate given him by His Excellency the President. And I know that includes teacher welfare and professional development. I'm grateful.
Chairman, thank you, but I'm informed there is a National Education Leadership Institute that has been set up that you can rely on for that program, which is being funded by the Big Win Foundation. And I believe with Haruna MP, you have a good minister to work with. And I wish you the very best, Chief.
I'm grateful, and you are right. It's actually in my briefing notes. I believe you build on it for the betterment of Ghana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nominee. I will now yield the floor to Honorable Jerry. Honorable Jerry, you are the one standing between us and lunch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. V-Mate.
Sharp.
So, Honorable Chair, so I have a very genuine observation. My observation is that we are this stretch, we are at this point vetting deputy ministers. The normal excuse or cliche has been that, oh, I'm going to support my minister. We are all aware you are going to support your minister. But we also know that you are men and women who have enormous capacity to go and deal with the issues. So my suggestion is that when people are asked questions, they should answer the questions. And when they are unable to, just because they don't really have an idea, they should also say so. And that is fair to the Ghanaian community. Instead of the normal excuse that I am going to support the minister. Yes, we know. So do we have to go ahead and vet because you are going to support the minister, or we shouldn't go ahead and vet? And that, I think we should all take a cue respectfully. I believe Dr. Clement Apak has the capacity to respond to all the questions he's been asked to respond to. So if not, then when energy comes in, he's going to support his minister. So why are we going to ask him questions bordering on energy? If agri comes, he's going to support his minister. So please, I know, I just want to have this intervention from Chairman.
Honorable Leader, that is what it says in the Constitution. The Deputy Minister is to go to the ministry to support his minister. If you ask a question and he wants to add more to it, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But that is the job description, is to go and support his minister. So I don't think the nominee will be wrong to say that I'm going to the ministry to support my minister, or whatever the policy direction is what he's going to follow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do not think that we are at variance. All I'm saying is that all the nominees that come in, they have the capacity to respond to the issues they've been asked. And that is why, in the wisdom of His Excellency the President, he nominated them. So what we are doing here is to test your capacity, or to confirm, basically. Anyway, let me go to my first question. Dr. Clement Apak, I suggest to you that PTA was never cancelled. What was cancelled was the levy.
Grateful, Mr. Chairman. As far as I know, the decision communicated was that we were no longer going to have PTAs. We're going to have PAs, parent associations. Parent associations. The teachers were not to be part. And the parents could decide to mobilize resources, or, if you like, play the functions that the PTAs that we knew before used to play. But the teachers were not to be part of it. So on that basis, if we say there were no PTAs and therefore we are introducing PTAs, we are right. We are saying parents and teachers can come together, dialogue, discuss, identify issues, and work at them. And it is on that basis that we have said that we are reintroducing PTAs, which is different from PAs. I'm grateful, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable nominee, examination malpractices are rampant in Ghana. They have largely marred the credibility of certificates or academic qualifications. Some people are called doctors when in fact they are not doctors. Some people have just found themselves at certain places because of examination malpractices. I know you are going to support your minister. I'm sure that will be the response.